Aloha, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know we have people joining us from all over this amazing globe that we call home, planet Earth. It is December 8th, 2023, and I am so honored to co-host this show today, Activate and Elevate with Sheila and Jan, with my close friend, Jan Rand. Girl, how are you today?
I am great. I'm so excited to have Leah Stasney with me, or not me, with us today. Leah and I both hit senior presidential director in the same week, so that was super exciting. And we've been developing like a slow burn friendship over the years since she's been part of LifeWave, and it's been great getting to know you, Leah. And Leah's so generous. Every time we have an event or something, we get to stay at these beautiful houses. She always brings little presents for everybody, and it's greatly appreciated. And I'm super excited to learn from you today, Leah. So everybody, if you have questions, start writing them down because we're going to let you ask questions. So
That's
take it
right.
away, Sheila.
All right. So welcome, Leah. I am super excited to have this conversation because I know we hugged at convention, but not much time to really get to know one another. And here's our chance. So, I'm a horse person too.
I do want to say, hey, Sheila, hey, I have a friend that lives in Bandera, Texas. His name is um, Matt Hay. And when I see him, I run into him in the grocery store. Hey, Matt Hay. I love it. So
Well,
anyway,
there are quite a number of songs that are all about hey, na 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 na, hey.
yeah, love it.
So we get that. It's a fun thing to, it's a lot better than the 9 letters of my old last name. But anyway, Leah, you are in Houston, Texas. We just found out. And I would like to know, how did you get introduced to LifeWave, first of all? And then just tell us a little of your journey. How has it been going? We all know you're an SPD, but how did you get started?
Well, I got started through my friend Laura Balzer. And by the way, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here, and I know there's a lot of new people that I don't know, so I'm excited to get to know people. That's been one of the things that I've absolutely adored about this company is it's the connections, right? And that's where God has led me. So it's creating these connections. But Laura, it's so funny because Laura actually reached out to me through social media probably about 10 years or more. And back then it was just when Facebook was getting going, and if I didn't know you, I was not going to accept your friend request, right? Not really understanding what it was for. And so Laura was friends with one person that was a mutual friend of mine who I adore. And so I accepted Laura's friend request. And so for the next 5 years, Sheila, 5 years, I watched Laura. And I'm going to tell you, this is the funny part of the story. She was with a company that had some keto coffee. And I thought, well, you know what? There's this guy that had been ghosting me that I knew I was going to run into again when we go dancing during the summer. And I wanted to lose 10 pounds. So I started that journey, and then they started making products. I started buying the products. And then one day I called Laura, and I didn't even know her. I said, I don't know what you do, but I want to do it. And so that was my introduction to multi-level marketing, which
Okay.
I could see where that was going to be for me. I'm single. It's just me on my own. Nobody else. Me working to support myself, paycheck to paycheck. Let's be real. I lived paycheck to paycheck for 45 years. But I could see multi-level marketing as yes. So I started learning all the things that we have to learn, personal development, walking through all the things, right? And
It's
then 2 years ago, Laura called me because she was with Dr. Stacy, who I know everyone knows, at
okay.
that event that weekend. And they both called me the next morning on Zoom and said, this is what we found. We don't know anything, but we need you to come with us. And so I said, yes. I did about 24 hours worth of research. And the first thing that hit me was, if I'd had this 2 years earlier, my dad would still be alive, kind of aha moment. So I knew what this was, and I knew from what I'd learned from multi-level marketing. I knew that this was something. But my background at that whole time has been in interior design and architecture of all things,
Okay.
right?
That's why you have
Like
the beautiful picture behind you.
yes, because it looks like I have a crown on.
It does.
But you know, and what a lot of people don't know about that was I've spent 30 years in that industry. And I went to school late in life. I got my degree in interior design. It was a fine arts degree with architecture and interior design majors and minors. And I chose that because, again, here we go, transparency, that fit into a man's life 30 years ago. He was an architect. So interior design, right? Great, great, great thing. But fast forward and multi-level marketing comes into my life, and this product and this technology comes into my life. And this is, you know, I don't have kids. I looked at this as kind of my insurance policy on my health. And that's where my passion really lied, because I used to think, you know, I don't know if you've ever, the corporate people, and you like have to run into the store to pick up something in the middle of the morning, and you see the women in there with the tennis outfits on, and you know, they just got through working out and it's mid-morning. And that's kind of what I wanted to live. And now I am. But what I ended my career doing was meeting with architects and designers. I ended up with the glass company. I high-rise buildings, glass, all the metal. I would go into architects and teach them about that stuff. How exciting does that sound? Like, but so LifeWave comes along, and now I've got less passion about the solar heat gain coefficient of what it's doing to someone's mechanical system in their high-rise building. And LifeWave, part of health and wellness, can now be the forefront, and that's what I'm passionate about. And so 4 months in, girl, I left my corporate job, and it was scary. You know, I've lived during that corporate world. I've lived in Luanda, Angola, which is in Africa, the west coast of Africa. I've lived in Equatorial Guinea, Bata. I've developed some incredible relationships, and that's what all of that part of that journey was all about. Was the relationships that I've built around the world. I spent 7 years. I lived down in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, working for a multi-million-dollar developer, meeting with people like the owners of Mary Kay Cosmetics and helping them pick all the tile and the carpentry and all the things. And that was fun. It was a fun part of my journey. But girls, since LifeWave and the people, the connections, because I sat in church for a long time asking what was my purpose. And I don't know if I'm going around the too
We
far
love
into
We want to
okay,
hear
too
all
far
about
into
you,
the
Leah.
subject.
This is what this is about, is sharing who you are so that we get to know you.
Yeah, I sat in church for a long time. I was in a relationship, engaged, and that fell apart. But I sat in church wondering what was my purpose. There had to be more. You know, they're always wanting people to volunteer for the ministry of music, or the ministry of this, or the Lord, and asking what's my purpose, right? But don't make it too difficult, right? In the back of our mind. I think we all kind of think that, right?
Agreed.
And there had to be more than the job and tithing and volunteering. I'm very involved with literacy and education here in the state of Texas. Um, and then LifeWave falls into my lap, and it all clicked immediately for me. This was a gift from God, a simple patch that can help me cultivate and develop relationships with people, which is what he wants. And I can help people with this technology. So it's been an exciting journey to be here, and also to be financially free for the first time in I'm 58 in 58 years. It's been incredible to have myself in a position by just sharing, by doing something that's so simple and so fulfilling.
And
The
fun.
fulfillment, uh, like I'm just bursting with joy every single day
Well,
because
you
of
look
what
like it.
we do.
You shine, Leah. You literally are glowing, and the crown makes you glow even more. I love it. And what I really appreciate about hearing your story is that we don't know most people's backgrounds. Okay, unless you got a doctor in front of your name, then we can guess you might be a chiropractor, a naturopath, or whatever, right? But
Mhm.
nobody knows our personal journeys. And from the sounds of it, just saying, you lived a pretty cool, exciting life, being able to move to different countries, albeit Angola sounds a little scary to me. It wouldn't be my choice, but all the other places sounded pretty cool. But and so I think it's really important for us to share that when we find our path, the real true, what we're called to do in our heart by the creator. And I'm honored that you are willing to even share that, because so many people don't share that truth. But thanks for sharing that. And so how long did it take you from the point that you started LifeWave? Were you experiencing physical changes, or was this all a business move for you?
It was all of that. It was absolutely, it was the physical changes, and it was not only the physical changes, but the changes here.
Mm.
I was finding, I've always said I'm not a reader. I've always said that. But girl, I'm a reader. I have read more books in the last 2.5 years than I have in 40 years. And that again, that's transparency. Because I was finding the more I wanted to learn, the more I learned, the more I wanted to learn.
Mm.
Because the more I could learn, the more I could help other people. Um, but and when I left the corporate world, it was scary. It was just me now. I didn't have that income, but I
Mhm.
could see the big picture. I could see what I had to help people. It just was a matter of me now finding the ways that I can share it to help people and seeing the big picture. There was a lot of days, I was afraid when the phone call came in, it was Kia calling because I was behind on my car note or whatever.
Okay.
But locking arms with everybody and knowing, just understanding what this really is. And that may not be for everyone. I'm not by any stretch telling people to leave their job, but for me, I want the freedom of time.
And not just the
Can I
freedom,
ask a quick question?
please.
Yes.
Leah, what other, off the top of your head, if you can remember, what are the first few books that you would recommend to somebody that hasn't done a lot of reading and really could use some personal growth? What are the first basic books that you would recommend?
There's it's so funny that most of the ones that I love are old. They're old, written in 1910, you guys. The Science of Getting Rich. It's written by Wallace Wattles and in 1910. But it ties back to the Bible and to scripture. And it talks a lot about that. There's so many. There's one called the Servant, a Master in Leadership, I think. The Servant, that I absolutely look forward to getting every day, going outside, sitting with my feet in the grass, getting that grounding, reading, because I couldn't wait to see what the teachings were going to be for that day by this group. It was exciting, and it's all about mindset. Right now I'm reading the Power of Five. This book, John Maxwell. I mean, you guys know the convention was incredible. And then he wrote this book geared specifically toward the multi-level marketer. And and I'm watching it change people's lives. That's another good one. Oh gosh, I'll get a list of them to you because
Okay.
That'd be great.
it's the science of getting rich is there's just so many. I just got turned on to one today. Again, this one was written a long time ago.
The game of
Game of
life
life.
and
Okay.
how to play it. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
writing these all down.
Me too. Yeah, I
I
read The
started
Power
this.
of Five, and that's a really good book for people that really have not done network marketing because it
Yeah.
talks all about mindset and expectations and all that. So that's a really good book if this is your first rodeo with network marketing.
Yeah,
Thanks.
and I do a book club with my team on Friday mornings, and it's been incredible for all of them to connect. And then we talk about, and today happened to be power number two was connection. And, that's what this company is about. It's, I love the whole heart to heart thing, and he decoded heart in the Bible and connectivity and relationships and helping people. And it's just so simple. It's so simple, but I definitely will get a list. I have so many books.
So
Thank you, Leah.
when you started building your team, Leah, how did you go about doing that? What was were you building a team for a business, or were you just out to share because you'd had changes in your life from it?
I didn't have a ton of changes. I still was relying on all of the knowledge I was gaining by plugging into the Patching podcast testimonial calls.
Okay.
And there were times when I was second guessing, did I do the right thing? And then I would turn on something of David Schmidt, and boom, I'm right back into, yes, this is exactly where I need to be. But when I started out, I didn't know what I didn't know. And of course, I'm following right behind Dr. Stacy and Laura, and we're all doing the same things and kind of figuring it out. But I just started sharing it with people to help them.
Mm.
I was looking for customers. That's all I was focused on. Because for me, and me trying to build my way out of having to work that corporate job, product introduction bonus was the fastest way. So I made $2,000 in my first 30 days in product introduction bonuses. So that's all I really knew. I didn't know about the rest of the payment ways. So that's how I really started, was just building, talking to people. I came out of the corporate world of I was doing events with construction people, glass, metal, so I'm in that world and presenting glass, talking about it. And I thought, well, I can do that with this. And so I got into some markets that I do on Sunday, and I'm always at a market on the weekend. The great thing for me was I was watching other people do it, like Dr. Stacy. I watched her build in her life with her daughter at the time. And here I'm single without children. On the weekends, you better believe I was somewhere sharing this, doing something. I found places to go pop up. I've been outside at fitness expos. I've been in boutiques because I wasn't going to say, well, I can't do it. I'm not busy. I would be sitting on the sofa watching the Hallmark Channel on Saturday and Sunday if I wasn't. So that was big. And I found it, keeping that funnel flowing, continually meeting new people, being consistent at that market. I've been doing this one market for 2 years, twice a month on Sundays, 3-hour drive one way,
Wow.
and share, and then I'll tell them, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Go do some research.
Right.
So it's been fun building it belly to belly.
So Leah, you just mentioned the word funnel. I totally understand, and I know what a funnel is. I've had training on all of that kind of stuff. But can you explain for our audience? Because I bet a lot of these people have no idea what a funnel is.
Well, a funnel, when we talk about the 333, for example, we talk to three new people, and then they're going to funnel into the next bucket, which would be the follow up with three people. And then they could continue to move through those buckets. but it's that bucket I always want new people in my bucket. Right. And I'm going to be again transparent because I wasn't always the greatest with follow-ups in the beginning. Right now, I'm getting ready to reach back out to all the people that I enrolled in the first year that fell out because I didn't know anything, and come back and start re-engaging with them. But for me to compensate for that, I want to talk to new people. I want new people in my bucket. Now I can move them quicker now that I know more. I've been doing this for 2 years. I can get them through those buckets quicker, from this bucket to the follow-up bucket to invite to a podcast bucket. So that's what funnel is. I want new people in my bucket.
Okay, I love that. And we're going to explore what you just said, because I too, and I know Jan too, none of us in that first, we came in 4 years ago. And in that very beginning, we didn't know follow up. Jan and I never, I mean, that's not true. I was in network marketing in doTERRA and Young Living, and I have horizontal downlines. Okay. So I was a retarded builder. I'll admit it. And nobody taught me to. Karen McBride, you're so funny. She's pointing at herself too. And, but when you say you're going to reach back to those people that fell out, what is your plan? If I can ask that.
My plan, you guys, it's going to be authentic, honestly. And I'm going to, and one lady pops to mind. It was when I was going to meet with my trainer at 7:30, and she was coming out of training with him. And I met her, I'd just been in, and she had tennis elbow. Oh, girl, you got to try these patches, right? And she did it, I don't know, a month. So she's an example. So I would reach out to her and say, hey, Julie, it has been a long time, girl. How are you? Are you still dealing with tennis elbow? I know I shared this with you, and I did not know what I don't know. I didn't know what I didn't know back then. But girl, what I have learned is I really want you to look at this a little bit deeper and send a video, probably something I never even sent her, right? And just keeping it simple, and it's just because I didn't know what I didn't know, or maybe even send a testimonial. This testimonial, that's what I send. But that's her specific. Now I'm going to have to go in and look at each one of those people and kind of recollect on why they originally did it. One of my friends did it just because I went to her office and I said, girl, you need this. Give me your credit card.
And how long did she stay using them?
Well, not very long, but that's okay. She's watching me doing what I'm doing and able to contribute a lot more money to her foundation. So
Wow.
she sees what's going on, and that's okay with me. I'm okay with letting those people watch from the outside for a while.
Well, exactly, because it's interesting. A lot of the people that watch from the outside, they come back to us, don't they?
They do.
Say, oh my gosh, I've been watching you for 1 year, 2, 3, whatever it is. And they say, I'm ready to listen. And that's when we just have to go into more support mode and be of service, right?
Yeah. My sisters are going to be in that category someday, which I love.
Like your own sibling sisters.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of them's 10 years older and the other one's 2 years younger.
Okay. And they will be looking and they will be saying,
well, and you have no idea. One of them's dealing with some heart issues. She just had a chunk of something cut out of her back, and I have to walk away. Yesterday, I don't remember who I was talking. Oh, it was somewhere and it's people that know about it, and somebody's complaining about something, and I would say, I have a patch for that, and kind of giggle and walk off.
Yes.
It's like, I can't listen to it. I've already shared with you, and you're going to talk about it. I can't listen to that because I have a solution, but you're not looking for a solution. You're looking for someone just that you can bitch to. And I don't, that's that negative.
And that's the most challenging thing, though, because
it is.
We have a solution. I want to share something that happened yesterday with Kathleen and I. We were over in Lahaina at the grade school, intermediate school, patching with our Hawaii holistic team. This is in the heart of where the fires are, right? And people have all had trauma and stress. I mean, the whole entire island of Maui went through it. We all experienced the grief, the trauma, the stress. So I was chatting, two young ladies came in, and it turned out one was 25. I don't know the age of the other lady. And the 25-year-old, she totally engaged with me, looking me in the eye, having conversation. And the other girl, they had both just been at our grief counselor's desk talking with her about stress and levels of stress. And the second girl, she never could look me in the face. She totally was on her phone. And when I said, okay, and oh, and these patches also will help you with relieve stress. And Sienna, she says, oh, please put a patch on me. I came around the corner of the table and I went to patch her, and the other girl literally yelled, this room is stressing me out. Now we have a chiropractor over here adjusting people. We have a massage therapist over here giving massages. We have a grief counselor, and we have Kathleen and I sharing the patches, and everything is free and nobody is pushing anything. But this person was so in her own world of stress, she didn't want to accept any of the gifts we had to offer. And that's exactly what is happening with our friends and our family and other people that we meet for whatever purpose. They don't want to think about it, or this is a technical thing for a lot of people out there. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but there is also what's called secondary gain. And secondary gain is when we stay sick because my husband does the dishes every night and cooks me dinner every night and cleans the bathroom every day. All right. I'm deciding to stay ill because I'm benefiting from someone else's watching over me. And so it's not something that, I just said, oh, have a good day. And she ran out the door. But, it's not something I take personally. And that's something, looking at your face as you talk about your sisters, I can see that they will come around, and you're not hanging on that.
No.
You take it personally. They're my own sisters. And I guess that's part of what I want everybody to understand. Leah is a perfect example of having faith that the changes that she is creating in her own life and being can help other people, just by example.
Well, and I can also say to people at these events, for example, and you guys, I do say this, and I mean it from my heart to their heart, that when when someone's got a little bit of resistance, I've told people, I said, I do not know if it's your time to be blessed with this. That is between you and God. But I know that it's been the blessing for thousands of people. And so I'll be back in 2 weeks. So do a little research and kind of leave it at that. But again, I don't mean that with any malice, that is truly like, I know, and that's okay, because they don't know what they don't know.
That's right.
They don't know what they don't know.
That's exactly.
And that's okay. It can really make you chuckle sometimes, because I do.
Right. Right. We had a patching party Tuesday night, Kathleen and we had 16 people over here besides ourselves. And some of them are our downline. And one of the gentlemen, belly to belly, meeting at the swap meet, Kathleen met him. We met him 2 years ago, and Albert was ready. He looked like he was on literally death's door, could barely walk. Albert shows up, and about 2 months ago, Kathleen told me, man, I've been trying to get a hold of Albert. I think he might have died in the fire. And she honestly said that to me, and I was like, oh my God, Albert. And he's like in his 70s, and he showed up at my house, and I was like, oh my God, Albert, you are a new man. And we never know what is going to happen to these people or how they're going to change. He went off the patch for a year, I found out, and he started back up, and his whole life changed. And so it is it is about sharing and being of service. And that I could feel your heart, Leah. And we need to connect more, girl, because I really am
Oh,
falling
we
in love with
do.
you.
We do. There's,
It's over there in her cuddle up blanket. Look at her. She's all happy and comfy.
It's
I
freezing
have
in here.
I learned so much from everybody, and and I'm all about a very much alignment. Everything comes into my life at the time that it needs to come into my life, and it's that's why I can wake up with joy every single day.
That's
And it's who can I help today? Lead me, guide me, show me, whoever. It's going to be
Ooh,
somebody that wherever I go.
ooh,
But
that's
I get to choose, I get to choose where that is. Right? I go, personal development's huge, something that I've gotten into that you will love. And I hear more and more, like on a TV show, they're starting to talk about how he's learned about meditation. And I've meditation has become part of my life for the last 6 months. I do it every day, 5 days, 5 to 6 days a week. It's changed my world. It's connected that mind, body, and soul part of that whole connection. And I wish everybody could meditate because it would change your world.
it certainly would. And something, I'm just going to throw a tidbit out that I shared with my grandson today. In every moment, we can choose who we are anew, right? And that is exactly what you've been doing, Leah. And the changes and these different things that you're making these choices in this 2-year period. For some people, they may go, "Oh my God, that's too much." It's not. It's
Mm-mm.
allowing the flow. And when you allow, you have results like Leah is having. So Leah, is it okay if we open the floor up? There's a bunch of people in here asking questions, and I'd rather
Yes.
them ask you themselves
Okay.
than
Yeah, because
me.
I'm trying to read them, but they just pop up and go away.
Right. And that's ooh, and I moved my mouse and the whole screen went away. So yeah, let's if you have a question for Leah, we're not going to read them out of the chat. I'd like you to raise your hand or open up your mic and let me know that you have a question. Sherry Ty has a question in Sherry Ty, there she is. Sherry, go ahead and unmute, please.
Hi, Sherry.
You have to unmute, sweetie.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm just so excited to get to talk. Yeah, I'm competing with Jan. I got my cozy little house robe on. It's chilly here as well. But anyway, yes, this has been the year I was bent. I was going to change my mindset, because of, we all have backgrounds and just, things growing up. And so that's the big year for me. It's just, I'm realizing, oh my goodness, wish I could have done it years ago. But anyway, here I am. And also it's kind of paralleling with the life wave, journey. And so, anyway, we all know unless our mindset's right, we're not really going to be that successful in things, relationships or business, until we get that lined out. But you would mention meditation. And I was wondering, like, there's a book that I've been doing with the book club. My first book club, and it's by Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And at the end, there's the quantum theory in the beginning, and then understanding the brain and the physiology of that. And then later on, it's applied to the meditation, so preparing us. And so, and I think you'll understand this. I'll try to keep this brief, but the core of my question is that I'd like to know what type of meditations you do, if it's just something that you step into yourself, or if you've used guided ones or whatever. I love the Joe Dispenza meditations, except for this. And I was praying to God, if we're raised in the church, it's like there's certain things that are taboo, in the new age and this and that. And I say you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And so I prayed to God, it's like, protect my mind as I step into this, because I see a lot of biblical principles in these secular teachings of mindset that are truly valuable. And so, but yet, I don't want to go into things that I feel, okay, an example is in Joe Dispenza talks about in one of the meditations about, and it loves you and tell it this or that. And it's referring to like the universe and things. And at first I just thought, okay, I'm just going to say God, Lord Jesus, I give this to you, and I'd override that. But in time, I'd hear it. It just kind of got to my spirit in a negative way. It's like, it's still just to hear this to me like a belittlement of God, give it. He's not a it. He is the Lord God Almighty, And so,
So
but the rest of it is
let's let Leah answer your question, okay, doll?
okay.
Well,
So yeah, that's just, I'm sorry. I just,
It's okay. No, girl, I love this path because and I am new to this. So meditation, and let me show you how I got started with it. So I got introduced to Abraham Hicks, who, if you guys, I'm sure some of you know who she is, but it's about just again a different mindset about she teaches the law of attraction. And so one of the and I was listening to these little 12-minute things, and one of them was about sitting for 10 to 12 minutes and not thinking about anything. And that's what's not easy to do. And so for me, I found that I needed a sound to focus on. So it began with me listening to the rainforest and trying to,
okay.
I would listen and try to hear and identify, not like I knew what kind of bird it was, but there was always different sounds. And so that for me was, that's in my mind, that's God's language, right? I feel like the birds chirping is God's language to us. So then I got into the sound bowls. So it kind of led into that. And then I was on Instagram one day, and you're not going to believe what I found that's actually here in Houston. It is a guided meditation 45-minute class to sound bowls and to the gong. So now we're talking about frequencies that are running through my body for 45 minutes, which the major healing effects of that alone is huge. And it's breathing. So, but meditation, and people say, oh, well, I pray. Well, that's not the same thing when we're talking to God. Meditation is about not thinking about anything. It's about
Right.
quieting the mind and focusing and not thinking about
Right.
what you have to do tomorrow or what didn't happen yesterday. So it really does help you be in the moment right now, because I can unequivocally tell people yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is not here. This is here right now. Then we can start thinking, that and that for me, it's been been a catalyst for me to be authentic. I think. Does that answer it?
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I have ran across some of those things too, like with the different frequencies for healing of the body and just trying to, but yeah, sometimes it's hard to focus on the sounds for me. And it helps that there's a voice saying, focus on your lips and focus on the space of, what I'm saying, kind of walks you through the body and kind of releasing that. We're all different. But yes, I do like the sounds too. So I appreciate that, because I like to learn from people what works for them and try different things. So yeah, thank you very much.
Well, there's a great video if anyone's interested, and Jan, you can remind me to send it to you, because what's interesting about meditation, and is it okay, Sheila, if we go a little bit down this road?
Yes.
You guys, meditation's incredible. But I recently was plugged into Ed Milet. I don't know if any of you know Ed Milet, but Ed Milet, guess what Ed Milet's found recently? Ed Milet, it does motivational. He's talked to everybody on the planet. He does a podcast. Meditation. He's started doing meditation in the last 10 years. So now I'm listening to his podcast about how meditation is changing people's lives. Troy Aikman, Dallas Cowboy quarterback, he's been doing meditation for 10 years. So it's life changing. I recommend everybody try it. And it is something that's learned. It is. I still have to keep my mind focused in the class. I come back to my breathing, and that's what I focus on. I don't worry about what I need to do later, but our mind goes there. But it's just about control, controlling your thoughts.
Discipline. You strengthen, you learn to strong. How do you spell that name? Add my that? I wasn't quite sure how you spell that.
ED,
Oh,
MYLETT. he had on, he had Dr. Joe Dispenza on. And Dr. Joe
Okay.
Dispenza goes into, you'll love it. He goes into the science behind what happens in the neurotransmitters in the brain when you can calm the thought. Yeah, it's incredible.
That's in that book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And I do highly recommend it because for me, we're all different. Some people just want to know how and they don't care how, just want to get there. But for me, I can do it better if I understand why, I understand what's going on. And I love the science. I have to have the science. I'm that way.
Breathing is another one. There's a guy he talks to in this interview, and he's a shaman, and breathing. He teaches breathing, and that's huge too.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I need to learn.
Thank you.
And I heard over your.
I appreciate you keep breaking up for me. I appreciate you, Leah. Sherry, thank you for that question. And I hope more people do on this call start to do meditation. At least give it a try. It's a mind-freeing experience, honestly, if you allow yourself to go in there. Somehow Leah got muted. But
it was a mistake.
It was a mistake. Okay. Who's next? I know we had some more questions. Who has the next question for Miss Leah? She has 16 more minutes to share with us. I mean, I can come up with more questions, honestly, but I thought our audience might have one or two.
You know, and I've shared some stuff with you guys that I haven't ever shared with people. You know, it's being able to be true. You know, it's so freeing and authentic. And, you know, I know everything I've gone through to get to here was all back there. And I know where I'm going. And that's what I'm manifesting in my life. And it's incredible.
I just have to share, that's one of my very favorite words ever in the history of humanity is manifest. To manifest your
It's real.
reality. It's true. It is so
It's
true.
real.
My beautiful friend Karen McBride, what question do you have for Miss Leah? Gotta unmute you little baby. There we go.
I don't have a question. Leah, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for bringing up the word authenticity in more than once. It's really something that's very important to me. I think it translates really well to others, especially in our business. And just, you know, we're talking about manifesting and meditation and all that. And I guess I'm kind of tuned in because it's kind of where I'm at. But it's so important when you're in a business that deals with people and timing and things like that, and to really be able to tap into ourselves so that we're aware of how to tap into others. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And you guys, I attribute everything to this company. This is when I say a blessing that God had something incredible for me 10 years ago. And he was like, girl, you have no idea. You have no idea what I've got coming for you. And it's keeps me in awe every single day.
I think and I agree with that. When and I can see that in you too. I really can. It comes through in the screen. But when I'm really stuck or I'm at a point where, you know, I finished something up and I'm not sure of direction, I've learned to trust God, to trust the universe, to ask with gratitude, you know, can you bring the next situation or person to me that needs to hear what I have and what I have to say? And I trust in that. And before, I used to be so caught up in chaos years ago that I couldn't relax enough to have that trust. Unfortunately, I think getting sick and having, you know, a really bad illness for a long time brought me to the ability to do that. So I don't always poo-poo that illness or say that it was a terrible thing that happened to me, because a lot of blessings came out of it, and that being one of them. So thank you for sharing today.
Well, and thank you for sharing that. And one of the things that I would piggyback on that is again, staying aware in this moment now, because he's bringing those people to you. But we've got to be self-aware, because it could be the man that held the door open for us when we walked into the post office and we were a little bit scared to say something to him. You know,
I've seen the most incredible ways that it's happened, that it's manifested, that, you know, I've asked and I've received. So you're right. I mean, and it may be a pause. It's not going to be instantaneous. Maybe it's on day 3. All of a sudden, like, there's such a big epiphany and light in a situation, in a meeting, that I'm like, there it is. There it is. So,
well, and it may
thank-
not even be that person. It might be someone you talked to 3 weeks ago. But you know, what I've learned is that God will bless the action. We just have to take the action, and the action can be many things, right? You know, that's the great thing about it.
You know, between the two of you, something that I've been thinking about, you both kind of hit on. I don't know who posted it today. I actually went and looked if it was you, Karen, because I thought it might have been you. But somebody wrote something that I read early this morning. And it was about, you don't know what, 10 years ago, that incident that in the moment you were grieving over or angry about happening in your life, what did that incident or experience set you up for in your future? And you both just hit that. And I want to say thank you, because to me, that is what's called radical gratitude, and being thankful in the moment for whatever happens. You know, for whatever reason, my dog pooped 10 minutes before we had this call in my office. Okay. I'm sitting here. My husband graciously came up and cleaned up my floor. Now, I'm sure in the future, I'll be able to be more grateful to God for that experience. But right now, I just have to do some radical gratitude that I was able to actually be on this call, because I questioned it and almost told Jan, it's all yours, Jan. And I would have missed a huge amount of love and experience if I had just stayed in my own, excuse my language, shit. Okay, or my dogs.
Well, you know, I turn those kinds of situations into a conversation with Jesus, and it's a comical one, right? I was like, okay, Jesus, JC. Sometimes I call him JC. What's up with this, right? You know, it just kind of relieves that.
That was
demon.
exactly what I said, Leah. And then I said, Creator, please take all the shit demons and put them into the violet flame and purify them. Okay. Because I just was there. But you know, when you said earlier, Leah, that you haven't shared a lot of this stuff, that's what this call, Activate and Elevate, when we have guests on, that's where I want to go. I want to go in the places that our leaders don't get asked, that don't get to share, because these are the real humanity of you. And what I can say today, and Karen said she loved that you kept saying authentic. I can tell everybody that I can 100% say Leah Stasney has full integrity. And to me, that walks hand in hand with being authentic, is being in your integrity. What do you think about that, Leah?
You know what? I love that, because guess who I walk hand in hand with every single day? And that's Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And so he won't let me be any other way.
There we have it.
That's just
Sheila?
how I live.
Sheila, I'm sorry, Martha has a question, and I believe Joan had her hand raised. So let's go to Martha and then Joan.
No, I just wanted to share a couple of things. Can you hear me?
We can.
Mhm.
Okay,
Welcome.
and also Jesus Christ for those can also be spirit. So whatever that spirit
Yes.
is for you, you make it what touches your heart. But I want to say, you know, this industry is the greatest self-development program. I mean, there's no greater industry than this one because we constantly, are showing people appreciation, gratitude. But one of the things I learned at my last company is how to hug somebody, and people don't even think about that. Most people aren't hugging people in the way that they should be. What we learned is that there's a significance in hugging somebody heart to heart, and Jen knows that. They don't. Oh, we got to hug heart to heart, right? When you hug somebody heart to heart, you're sharing a heart energy, and David has said heart to heart, right? There's an energy in that. That is amazing. And you can feel the difference. I even do that with all my friends. I said, oh, we got to hug heart to heart. Oh, yeah. And the minute even if you hug the other way, the minute you hug heart to heart, something changes. You can feel that change. And
It's that intertwining of y'all's energies together.
it's amazing.
That's what it is. I love
All
that.
those things make such a difference in connecting with someone. But the other thing I wanted to say too is that, as we're building, enjoy the journey. The most important, don't get on yourself. If maybe things didn't work out exactly the way that you want, pick yourself up and go on, because one of the most important things is just to enjoy the journey as you're doing it, and you're connecting with people, and there's a community of people. One of the things I actually have climbed to the top of a couple companies, and I was in retirement when I was pulled back out of retirement. I even live in a senior community like Jan. We live in the same place. And I was very involved there. But there's a community that happens when you join something like that. So there's a connection, and it's rises above, your other connections, because you've got something so in common, and people will pick up. You talk about frequencies, people can feel that energy. And so the right people, if you put it out to the universe, what you want, and I say to people, sit down, write out what you want, I even tell that to women who are single, put down the perfect guy you're looking for, every attribute you want of the perfect guy, and lo and behold, it shows up because you were so clear about what you wanted, So the same thing here is just be really clear about what it is that you want, very clear about what you want to build. And lo and behold, you're going to go, oh my God, it's happening.
It'll happen.
That's what all these self-motivational books are about. That's what, we studied under Bob Proctor. I don't know how many of you, unfortunately, Bob's now passed away, but, he's one of the all-time greatest people in this field. So, yeah, I just wanted to share some of that, and hopefully.
Thank you. I love that. And you're right. And whether you choose to call it the source, for me, it's source. It's the universe. It's, I know about my vortex. I'm very well aware. So it's a lot of different things for everybody, right? I love that. But thank you for sharing that.
One thing I will say is that in this community, talking about community, you can talk about things like this. You can't necessarily always talk about it with everyone because they don't understand the language of what we're speaking, right? But in this community, most of us do, especially when we're drawn to something like this. So, it's so beautiful to be able to hey, and share something like that, and they know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Martha, one of the things that based on what you just said, light is frequency, sound is frequency, color is frequency. The majority of people have zero concept that every single thing, this pencil vibrates at a specific frequency, and that's why I can touch it. That's why it's a solid in this three-dimensional world. And so,
but that's too deep for most people.
It is too deep for most people, Leah. But just having the awareness that life wave is all about frequency and raising our frequencies. And I think that that's why many people, I'm not going to say everybody in LifeWave has this experience, but I think many, many people are experiencing, Leah, what you have this, to me, it sounds like over the last 2 years, you've taken your spiritual level to another dimension. It literally, I believe that the patch and the light from our own being that is activating this within us is
Mhm.
activating frequencies within our brain that are dormant, that that we have dumped down over the centuries of living as human beings. And so I'm all about the frequency. And crystals have frequency. I remember the first day that I talked to Marcy with Kathleen, and she's saying, oh yeah, and there's crystals inside of it, organic crystals. And I'm like, oh my God, crystals are in the patch. She says, no, honey, not amethysts.
And
But
know what I learned? You know what I learned about that? You know how we always say David has a 30-year a 20-year patent. Do
right,
you know that each frequency is patented? Think about that
right,
within
right.
this.
Wow.
Think about that. That's why the patent is 30 pages long.
Okay.
That
Wow.
and then no one will ever figure out what those frequencies are.
No.
Talk about well protected. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, can we let Joan ask her question to wrap
Yes.
up?
Yes.
Okay,
we can.
Joan, you're on, baby.
Where's Joan? I'm looking for.
Unmute. Well, there you
I
go.
was trying to unmute
There we go.
above. Can you hear me?
Hi,
Yes,
Joan.
we can.
My first time to speak. Hey, Leah just signed me up, a friend of mine, in September, and I got very excited about it, and I still am excited about it. And she and I are back and forth on the phone almost every day, encouraging each other. And that's one thing I think people need to remember their downline, to touch base with them often, because Leatrice has been a real inspiration to me, and sometimes I'm an inspiration to her. But I had this thought today, and pardon me, I had this thought today, and I just thought it was fun, and I wanted to share it. And it's LifeWave is like opening up Pandora's box, finding it full of money, spilling out over into your own bank account. It just was a visual for me. But that just because I just got manager, and I'm really excited about it.
And you
I think it's a
Congratulations.
great visual. And actually, what I saw as you were talking, Joan, was a literal golden treasure chest with the lid opening and the money pouring out for you. So, and all of
But
us, right?
take that a little further though, and write down some definite things on what that money's going to do. What do you, and I say this because I had my mentor ask me, my number written down on my piece of paper in my purse I carry it is $10,000 a week income consistently.
Sounds good.
And when I had my mentor ask me, what would you do with $10,000 a week? And I could not answer that question, I knew my mindset wasn't there yet. But it is now.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and that's and then somebody talked about the journey. The journey's been incredible. Like the journey has been so exciting for the last 2 years.
Right. And just getting to meet people. Now, all these people it's just such an experience, isn't it? I know you get to go to different meetings. Kathleen left last night on another journey. She's out and about, and I texted her right before when I knew she was heading to the airport, and I said, have a great trip. And one day soon, I'm going to be flying on all these trips with you too. And that's part of what I'm going to do with that money, Leah. And that's a really brilliant thing that you just said, is to write it down. And I have had, I've been a neuropractitioner for many, many years, and do all different kinds of things in private groups on Facebook that I run. And one of my favorite things to do is, it's a game where we get, the first day you get $1,000 in your bank account, and you have to go out and literally find different things. You can't pay bills. You have to spend $1,000, and you have to come back to the chat, and you have to put pictures in the chat of how you're going to spend that $1,000. And each day the money doubles, and it becomes more challenging. And I found that because we did it for the first time, a couple of times I did it was for 30 days with our team, and people can't conceptually decide what they're going to do with the $1 million. All right. And what I decided in that very first time that I was going to do was I was going to start buying up properties on Maui, and I was going to put, it's even hard to say, this is still a goal of mine. For shelters for women and children.
And paint the roofs blue.
And paint the roofs blue. Yeah, that is for sure. Oh my God, I love you even more.
I couldn't find my unmute button, but I wanted to say the same thing, Leah.
That's funny.
And on my list,
I wanted to say too is that when you say that, put a definite date to it. Not that it's going to happen, but when you put the date to it.
That's right.
And, you know, one thing I did is write down like 10 affirmations, and those affirmations don't have to be, they can be personal as well as business, but the things that you want to show up in your life. It's like writing a letter to the universe. And all of a sudden, like I said before, you know, it starts to show up for you, but be very, very, very specific about it, exactly when you want it.
That's right.
And
That's
then
right.
all of a sudden, you know, the more specific you can be, the better it is.
I'm thinking, Jan, of two different future things. I know we got to wrap this up, and I'm grateful, Leah, for you being our guest today. I've fallen in love with you. And I'm thinking we have two opportunities that I want to present to people that you guys can join me in. One is called Project 369. Tesla believes that the keys of the universe are 369.
I have that book.
Okay. All right. And I know that I've done a brief thing here on this call before, but maybe we need to get really into it. And the other thing is maybe we're going to play the money game. And who would like to actually start, because it teaches you how to bring these things to you. And I cannot tell you, I have seen people literally buying houses, buying $250,000 tractors in real life after we played this game. And all of a sudden these the opportunities there that you were talking about, that we, you know, is it that man that we just walked by the door? Those start pouring to you, and if you open your eyes and allow it, we can accept it. And that's another part.
And you know,
of it.
I've also seen it change people's lives. I've seen it change people's marriages. It's not just the money.
No.
Right. The abundance is so abundant, and it's not just green with dollars.
That's right.
With numbers on it. Right. It's
love,
but that stuff,
friendship, joy. I mean, think of all the things that's everybody's homework on this call. We have 40 people on this call right now. I want you to write 10 ways that you receive abundance. 10 ways that you receive abundance, however they are for you. That's what you're going to do. And next week, I'm going to ask people to read out their 10 abundance list. Okay.
And I want to push that one step further. When you write out those 10 things, as you write each one, I want you to sit in that moment for just 30 seconds and feel that feeling of that as you write those.
Exactly.
Because that's when we can bring ourselves into that moment of joy. Like I can do it so easily, and I can cry on a dime because I can take myself there really quick. Because that's, the affirmations are great, but feel that feeling of how that makes you feel when you've hit that affirmation.
Leah, have you ever been trained in NLP?
No, I don't even know what that is.
It's called neuro-linguistic programming. But what you just said is one of the major foundations of NLP. And you have to sit in it. You have to, it's one of the most important phrases that we have is as if now. As if now. It's not coming to me tomorrow. And that's part of what Project 369 does for us. you're writing things 3 times a day, then 6 times, 3 in the morning, 6 in the afternoon, and 9 at night. And
I did that for 2 years. Every day I did that, girl.
okay, I've got 2 different notebooks just stuffed with it. And it's really cool because I can go back through and I can go, wow, happened. And you can acknowledge it. So really, as if now. And Jan, what do you got to close us up with, girl? Because you're
She's
brilliant.
chomping at the bit because we're
I
7
know.
minutes late.
No, not at all. I'm just
Okay.
enjoying the whole thing, and I'm in so much gratitude for Leah coming on today. And I got to go to her meditation place. She treated us when we were in Houston, and it was awesome. And I wish they had one here because that's something that I would join. It was great. I got to get reading. I have a lot of personal growth to do, and that's my goal for 2024 is to take myself to the next level because I need some work.
Well,
So.
and that makes it fun.
That's right.
That makes it like I can't wait until I'm 68, 10 years from now. But think about that. What will we have seen with people with this technology? Like, think about that. With
Yeah,
what we've
but just
seen in 4 years.
Just a really quick story, you know, my house is under construction and my contractor was here yesterday. And I finally like asked him, I don't know how my business came up, but I said, do you have pain? Thinking no, because he's young. He has frozen shoulder and knee pain. I patched his shoulder with X39 in Ice Wave. And within a minute, he could lift his arm up and he signed up on a silver pack.
See,
And I was like, I've been talking to him for months and I finally opened up my mouth and talked to him. So
Yeah.
anyways.
And you know how I start those conversations? And that God brought them in my path today because they needed to know about what I had to share. Everybody I sat next to on the airplane on my trips back and forth to New York last week,
My
they all
kitchen's
got a
painted.
packet.
I'm
I told them
sorry.
it
I
was
just
their
saw my
lucky day.
kitchen's painted.
our kitchen's painted, yay!
That's because
Yeah,
there's no more frozen shoulder. He can use the paint
Got it
roller now.
finished. Yeah.
You've invested.
I want to leave you guys with one point. Somebody asked me yesterday at while we were patching everybody. They said, how long do I have to wear these patches? And I said, well, first of all, me personally, I take supplements every day. How about you? Oh, yeah. I said, are you going to take supplements all the time for the rest of your life? Oh, yeah, our food source sucks. That's what this person said. I said, okay, great. Well, you know what? I'm going to wear patches every day too, until the end of my life, except for this. If the bio bed gets invented in my lifetime or released to humanity, where all these light frequencies just, you lay down and 5 minutes later, you're 100%. I said, that's when I'll quit wearing the patch. And the lady started laughing, but that's the truth. We're patchers for life, right? And
Someone asked me how much it cost me to patch. I wear 8, $16.66 a day. It's less than lunch.
right. I mean, you can't.
Every day.
We went
Rest
to
of our life.
McDonald's yesterday. Crazy. We only go there for breakfast if we're on our way going somewhere. And I was on my way to go patch people. I couldn't believe it. We used to own 3 McDonald's, you guys. Value meals were $2.99. And yesterday, a stinking egg McMuffin just by itself, $6.09. And people say they can't patch because it's too expensive. Stop eating your egg McMuffins.
All I have
Stop
to do is go to Starbucks.
Starbucks. Get healthy.
But you know what, Sheila, even if you do the bio bed, you still need to hold that energy. You still need your patches every day.
You know, we never know what's
Especially
going to happen in 10 years.
But yeah.
Well, I
Yeah,
want to
it'll
just
be
say
interesting.
thank you, everybody, for this call, and Leah and Jan for putting up with me for this extra 12 minutes and sharing. I adore all of you guys, and I'm really grateful that you're my friends and that we can have this call.
I
And
love it.
we will all see you next week. We've got I'm not sure who's doing. Are you doing the call today? Do you do the podcast, Leah? You and Laura?
No, mine's Monday night, every other
Monday.
Monday night.
Okay. All right. Well, we got a podcast coming up shortly. So those of you that can watch it, jump on it and make sure that you just smile today and write down one thing that made you smile. Okay. All right. I
All
love
right.
you guys.
Bye, you guys.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye, Leah. Thank you.
Bye, Leah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.